In 1992, I was laying in a hospital bed in Kansas, about to be wheeled into hernia surgery. My friend said, "Justin, you look so peaceful." How was I looking so peaceful? Because I wasn't thinking about what was going to be happening in the next 20 minutes. I was focused right in the here and the now. In the now, there is peace. Many years later, on a Saturday evening, my girlfriend at the time and I had just broken up. And the next morning, on Sunday, I had a Sunday service to lead as a minister. So I did my best effort to just keep my attention on spirit, because I wanted to bring my best self to the service. I didn't want to depress everybody with my sadness. And the amazing thing is that through the day, by keeping my attention on spirit, one moment at a time, and whenever my mind strayed, just brought it back to God, I was able to be peaceful through the whole day till I got home and then broke down. No, not really, but it made it a lot easier to keep attention on spirit. When you do that, guess what? You tune into an inner strength. You tune into a sense of peace. You tune into a calmness that helps you deal more with whatever's going on in your life. Today we're talking about finding inner peace, a peace that is independent of what's going on outside, around us, or to us. How many of you are excited about finding more of that inner peace no matter what's going on in your life around you? First idea to remember is that peace is a state of mind. It's a state of mind. Most of us have been raised to believe that our states of mind are dependent on outer conditions. That if people behave the way we need them to behave, if conditions are the way we want them to be, then we can be at peace. Right? How many of us are guilty of that one? And how often are things exactly the way you want them to be? We think if someone says or does something that we get angry about or guilty about, we go, "They made me feel angry. She's making me feel guilty." But the truth is, if we're really honest, nobody makes us angry. Nobody makes us feel guilty. It's what we think about what they've done or said that triggers feelings inside of us. Unfortunately, many people think that peace is the absence of conflict and a result that everything's going all right the way we want it outside. If that one day all of our ducks will be walking in a row, I think I mentioned that before, and how many times are all your ducks walking in a row? They're never walking all in a row, are they? There's always something going on. There's always something going on. Yeah, the ducks are never all going to walk in a row. It's more like herding cats life, right? Good luck. And in the Christmas story, the birth of Jesus is not everything going beautifully outside. It's not all about the angels singing and the shepherds and the peaceful fields. No, Jesus, the whole thing was Joseph and Mary. Mary's pregnant and there's no room at the inn. So Jesus is born in a stable. And then you got Herod, who wants to kill all the firstborn children to eliminate Jesus. So now you got Mary and Joseph leaving and going into Egypt and going eventually to Nazareth, trying to get away from Herod. No, it's not a peaceful story. But each step of the way, Joseph and Mary were guided and protected. And that's a message for us. They must have felt peaceful with that sense that they were guided and protected. And though Christmas is a celebration of the birth of Jesus, more importantly, it's the birth of the peace that's within you and me. It's a greater realization of that birth of God's peace inside of us and learning to rely on that presence. He said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither be afraid." He gave us a peace. He wanted us to realize a peace that passes all understanding. A peace that does not come from the world. A peace that comes from within. That's what he was talking about. How many of you had a big problem in your life before, a big challenge, and yet you felt this sense of peace? It's a peace that passes understanding. It's a peace that, wow, this is going on in my life, but I feel peaceful. That's what we're talking about. Later in his life, Jesus had all kinds of challenges. He was persecuted. He was lied about. There was injustice. He was crucified. And yet, he was peaceful. He was loving. How many of you like to be centered in love and peace no matter how people treat you? Gosh, wouldn't that be wonderful? And yet, that's what he's calling us to be. That's why he said, love your enemy. That's why he said, bless those who persecute you. So you don't let yourself get pulled down. So you don't get pulled down into the muck. So you don't lose your peace. So you don't feel angry or resentful or bitter. So that you keep yourself in a high place. So that you and I live according to what it means to be a child of God, to be a spiritual being, rather than getting pulled down in less than what we truly are. And you and I can do that. We're on a growth journey. It takes effort and work. And some of you have seen that growth happen in your life. How many of you have seen growth happen where something that would bother you 10, 20 years ago doesn't bother you as much anymore? How many of you have seen that in your life? Look around the room. There's a lot of hands raised where you have grown, and something that bothered you in the past doesn't bother you in the same way. You have grown. Whereas before you get so angry about it, now you're like, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. And the key is practicing on a daily basis, practicing with the little things that are inconsequential. So that as you practice with little things, when bigger things come, you're better at dealing with them. Right? Someone cuts in front of you in line. That's a little thing, isn't it? Really? Okay, it's going to delay you. It's going to delay us a minute. Maybe it's, a little rude. Practicing with the little things. When Jesus said, "My peace I give to you, not as the world gives to you," he was not promising us a path strewn with roses. He wasn't promising only pleasantries, a life full of problems. No, he was promising that you can find peace in the chaos. In the world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. In the East, they talk about finding this peace that passes all understanding, and they say that this world is God's Leela. In one interpretation, it means this is God's play. That this is a show, ladies and gentlemen, and you're the star in your own show here, and Spirit is the director of this play, of this show, and it's all for your entertainment and education. The other word for the other interpretation of the word Leela is sport. That this experience is God's sport. How many of you like sports? I met with a guy not long ago. He said, I love watching you at home, and I love watching football in the afternoon. Some people just love sports. Why do we love sports? Why do we like playing sports? Why do we like watching sports? Well, there's competition, right? There's challenges. One person's trying to get the ball in the end zone and the other side, and the others are trying to stop them. One team, right? And that's the game. You try to get it over here, and I'm going to stop you. It's fun. It's challenging. You grow in competition, right? Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about fun. It's about, let's see if you can stop me. Let's see if I can beat you. And what happens when that happens? You both get better. Everybody grows. And it's fun. People created games and sports for fun and for growth. And guess what? Life is a sport. It's not meant to be free of challenges. It's not meant to be free of problems. It's meant to learn and to be entertained by it all, to grow from it, to find peace in the midst of it. You know, people who are in a sport and they lose. How many of you have seen people who just get angry? They're just so angry and stressed out about this volleyball game. That means nothing. But the ego's on the line, right? I got to show my skill. No, it's for fun. It's for fun. According to legend, there was a king who offered a prize to the artist who would paint the best picture to depict peace. And all the best artists gave a picture of what they thought peace was. They gave their best artwork. And there was one picture which was a beautiful, peaceful lake. And in the background were mountains. And above in the sky, there were these peaceful blue, puffy clouds. And everybody looked and they go, oh, that's going to win. That's peaceful. I love that. And then someone else gave a painting. It had mountains also, but these mountains were bare and rugged mountains. And, you know, above the mountains there was a dark cloud, and rain was falling, and lightning was coming out of these dark clouds. And then down the side of the mountain was this raging waterfall going down the mountain. It didn't look peaceful at all. And when the king looked closely, he could see that behind the waterfall, a tiny bush was growing through a crack in the rock. And in that bush was a mother bird who had built her nest. There in the midst of the foaming, rushing waterfall sat the mother bird on her nest in perfect peace. Which picture do you think the king chose? That second one. He said, look, this peace doesn't mean an absence of noise. It doesn't mean an absence of stuff going on, an absence of challenge or work. No, it's a peace that you have in the midst of everything else going on around you. That's the real meaning of peace. So, peace is a state of consciousness, a state of mind. Second, make peace your top priority. Make peace your top priority. Is peace your top priority? Philosophers said throughout the centuries that peace of mind is the highest human good. You can't be happy without peace of mind. You can't be happy. Yogananda said, having wealth without peace is like dying of thirst while bathing in a lake. You can have all kinds of wealth. You can have all kinds of stuff. You can have all kinds of positions. But without peace, what do you really have? Realize that God is peace. Peace is your true nature as an expression of God. If we don't feel peace, it's because we've got thoughts of frustration, anxiety, worry, fear, envy, bitterness, resentment, blocking our true nature. We've got habit patterns of thought that are keeping us in a brain loop, creating anxiety and stress, rather than our true nature of peace. To have peace is to have God. To have peace is to have health. To have peace is to have happiness. Why would we want to sacrifice peace for anything else? You'll perform better. You'll think better. You'll get along better. Choose peace and make it your top priority because peace is God. A Course in Miracles says, You will not find peace except the peace of God. Accept this fact and save yourself the agony of yet more bitter disappointment, bleak despair, and a sense of icy hopelessness and doubt. Seek you no further. There is nothing else for you to find except the peace of God. Author Hugh Prather likens the peace of God to a tender infant. If you were carrying a little baby, you would make the child your first priority. If someone bumped into you on the street, you wouldn't just drop the baby to follow the person and yell at him. And if your car broke down, you wouldn't abandon the child as you walked to get help. In the same way, we can't afford to put the peace of God aside for any worldly distraction. The peace of God is more valuable than anything in the world has to offer, and we must protect it as consistently as a tender infant. Make peace a priority. Now, peace doesn't mean you're bored or boring, right? Peace is not boring. Peace is dynamic. People think peace when I retire and I live by the cottage by the sea, then I'm going to be peaceful. And often people become bored. Bored. It's like there's nothing to do around here. They become bored. No, peace is dynamic. Peace is dynamic. When you're peaceful, you get in tune with the divine energy inside of you. Real peace, the peace of God, is ever new. It's ever new. It's interesting. It's always different. It's fulfilling. On the other hand, many of us get so caught up in our fears and worries about our job and our relationships and our finances and our health and our future and where we're going to go on vacation and where we're going to live and what's going to happen with the economy and what's going to happen in the world. And we get so worried about all this stuff. Life is passing by. None of us is going to be here forever. Every year, another year is going by. If we're not going to be peaceful now, when are we going to be peaceful? Perhaps we mistakenly believe that, something has to happen before we're going to feel peaceful. And the problem is that some of us feel like if we just would accomplish more, then we'll be peaceful. When I accomplish this, then I'll be peaceful. And the problem is that life is always changing. You clean your house and a week later it's dirty again. My mother used to complain about that. I clean and a few days later everything's dirty again. And that's true. Unless you're single, then it can stay dirty longer, maybe. Yeah, that's just not the way it is it? I think we have a hard time imagining ourselves living a life of peace. Do you have a hard time seeing yourself living a life of peace? What would your life be like if you were peaceful all the time? I think people are addicted to anxiety. They're addicted to stress. They say, relationship experts say, people get into conflict in relationships because it gives them an adrenaline rush. And adrenaline is addictive. You ever find yourself, or have you ever been in a relationship where you're just finding yourself getting in a conflict with someone? You don't even know why. Maybe there's an addiction to an adrenaline rush. The person's bored and they need some kind of rush. So they pick a fight. Eckhart Tolle talks about, that shadow self that feeds on other people's stuff. And it wants to feed on chaos. And so I forget what word he calls it, but it's the pain body. The pain body feeds on other people's pain bodies, and it's looking to, how subconsciously we want to poke other people's pain body to feed that downward force, that downward pull. But our higher self wants harmony and peace and love. Our old brain likes fear and worry, you know? That old brain inside of you is there because of saber-toothed tigers millions of years ago. You know, you had to run from this stuff, and you're ready to fight or flight or freeze. That's your old brain at work. And we get caught in that old brain loop. And so now in modern days, we're seeing saber-toothed tigers where there aren't any. But here's what happens. Your old brain prioritizes what you experience. And it will keep on feeding anxiety and fear to you. You get in this habit loop of anxiety and fear. But when you start to experience peace and joy and harmony, your old brain learns from it. And it starts to go, you know what? I think I like peace and harmony better than I do anxiety and fear. Doesn't it? Some of you know that. Some of you have been in relationships where it's just chaotic. Some of you have been in relationships where you were fighting and arguing. Some of you are still in them. And, you know. And in time, you start to realize, I don't want that. I want peace and harmony. Your brain goes, oh, yeah, that feels better. I do like peace. Your brain prioritizes it. That's the amazing thing. You and I are in a process of evolution, transformation. Yes, we got an old brain. Yeah, we got a primitive brain. It's a brilliant thing. It's an amazing thing to help you survive. But we're here to co-create to help that transformation take place of that old brain. You and I are not here to stay stuck in the old brain. We're here to help it evolve, help it become something better. Not everybody's ready to hear this message. They like all the chaos. No. We can live a peaceful life, but we have to make choices to help that happen. One thing to do is to begin the day in a peaceful way. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Begin the day in a peaceful way. How many of you start your day off with the daily devotional, reading the daily word or some other inspirational writing? That's a great way to start your day, get you on the right foot. Someone said the first hour is the rudder of the day. How do you begin your first hour? When your eyes open in the morning, is it good morning, God, or good God morning? What is it? How do you start that first hour? Start it out on the right foot. One way to make peace a top priority is to practice continuous prayer. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. That's what happened for me that day after we broke up, was keeping my mind on spirit. Helped a lot. One way to practice continuous prayer is by taking a sacred word and repeating it continuously. Perhaps saying the word as you're walking or exercising, repeating the word with your movements. You might choose the word love, peace, God, joy, compassion, shalom, shanti, om, whatever the word is, or a verse of scripture or an affirmation. Keeping that word in your mind during the day keeps you focused in a positive manner so that you don't rove into negative or fearful thoughts referred to as chaining. Chaining is one negative thought leads to another. For instance, you're worried about your son losing their job, which leads to the thought of the economy and how many other people are looking for jobs, which leads to the thought of your son going months without a job. Next, you're seeing your son and his family broken, homeless, on the street, or even worse, moving in with you. Chaining. One thought leads to another. Well, you can avoid that by keeping your mind on something uplifting throughout the day. Another way to make peace a top priority, as we mentioned in the opening, is to live in the present. Fear and unrest is linked in the past or the future. Regretting what happened in the past, fearing what's going to happen in the future. But in the present, there's peace. Hear this. One of the greatest ways you can live in the present, one of the greatest ways you can break the old brain's primitive cycle of fight, flight, worry, fear, and anxiety and stress is when you start to find yourself worrying, when you start to find yourself stressing out, when you start to get in that habit loop of the old brain, bring your attention to your breath. Break the pattern. Bring your attention to your breath and start to feel your breath flowing in and out. Feel your chest rising and falling. Become curious about your breath. Start to become curious, to try to feel the breath moving in and out of your nasal passages. Try to feel the rising and falling of your chest. And guess what that does? It brings you into the present moment. It breaks you out of the old brain's habit pattern of fight and flight, freeze, and brings you into the present moment. And you begin to start to feel peace. And your old brain goes, I think I like that better. I like peace better. And then what? You're able to look around, look at the challenges, look at whatever you have to face from a more peaceful point of view, a more peaceful state of mind. You can bring yourself out of your brain, out of the old brain, into the present moment by becoming aware of your flow of your breath. Just for a moment now, I want you to be curious about your breath. See if you can just notice. I encourage you to do it with your eyes open or closed, whatever you want to do. And feel the rising and falling of your chest. Be curious about this amazing process that's happening inside of you. You're not controlling your breath. It's just happening. Feel the cool air, if you can, moving in your nasal passages. The warm air flowing out. When stress comes, when anxiety comes, take a pause and tune into your breath. Ladies and gentlemen, that breath is powerful. What I just shared with you, you're not going to find too many other things more powerful than tuning into your breath to take you out of that brain loop and get you into a state of peace. Final way to make peace a top priority is to take action. What are you worried about? What is it that you keep thinking about? Take some action. Do something about it instead of stewing and thinking about it. Peace is a state of mind. Make peace a top priority. Third, practice surrender. Practice surrender. There are several translations of the word shalom, which means hello, goodbye. It means peace. And it means I surrender. Turn to your neighbor and say, shalom, shalom, shalom. It means hello, goodbye. It means peace. It means I surrender. I surrender. When you got something that's really bothering you that you're worried about, practice shalom consciousness. Surrender. What does that mean? It doesn't mean I give up. It doesn't mean you throw in the towel, oh, I give up. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to just give up. No. It means you give up your little ego self that's trying to make something happen. You give up your little ego self that wants it to go the way we want it to go. This should go the way I think it should go. And you go, you know what? I don't have all the answers, God. I surrender. I surrender. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to do what I understand to do. I'm going to follow your guidance, but you're the one in charge. That's all it means. I surrender. What are you concerned about in your life right now? What's going on in your life right now that's causing you stress, anxiety, fear? You don't have to do it alone. Don't try to do it from your little self. Do it from your higher self, your higher power. The infinite presence. I surrender. That's what Jesus meant when he said, nevertheless, not my will, thine be done, Lord. Nevertheless, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. He said, lose yourself to find yourself. How many of y'all are all anxious about some stranger you never met? Are you worried about? You walk down the street and you go, oh, I hope that person's okay. I hope they get their bills paid and they get their Christmas shopping done and all. No. You're not worried about a stranger walking down the street, are you? We're worried about ourselves. Me, my, and mine. Right? That's what's causing us anxiety. We're not worried about somebody else. We don't know. We're worried about ourselves. That's the problem. We're in the picture. Lose yourself to find yourself. How do you do that? One way is surrender. Not my will, Lord, thine be done. Now it's not all about me, it's about God. God, you're in charge. You do it. You guide me. Not my will, your will be done. Cora Fillmore, who was Charles Fillmore's second wife, his first wife passed away, poured out her concerns about Unity School of Christianity. Charles, aren't you worried about unity? Charles answered something like, my dear Cora, that's how they talked back then. My dear Cora, Jesus Christ is the head of Unity School, and there's no need to worry. Of course, they took plenty of action, lots of action, but they did it from a place of trusting spirit. Despite our best intentions, anxiety, fear, and other emotions will get triggered during the day. Some of us will go out of here and think, I'm never going to get anxious and worried again. I'm going to be peaceful now and forever. I've done that. You finish reading a book, you feel so exalted. I'm going to keep all my thoughts on the good that I want. Jesus, I'm not too far away from Jesus Christ consciousness. I'm really right up there. And then something happens. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we're all anxious. We're all upset. We're angry. We're ticked off. What happened to that wonderful state of consciousness? You know what? That might happen today. I've talked to people who were in a Easter service and they were resurrected right during the service, and they went out, got in their car, and somebody cut out in front of them, and boy, did they forget their religion. Right? That's going to happen. Why is that going to happen? Because you and I have so much junk we've repressed inside of ourselves from the time we were born, maybe even from past lifetimes, if you want to get woo-woo. We got stuff inside of us that is stuck in there. And outer things happen that trigger that stuff. We think it's because of him that I'm so upset. Nope. He's just triggering junk that we've got stuffed in there from a long time ago. You and I got junk inside of us. That's why Jesus said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall know God. They shall see God. He was saying you got to get rid of that junk. Things are going to get triggered. We're going to leave here and somebody's going to look at us a certain way, not look at us a certain way. Stuff's going to happen and we're going to get upset about it. One of the things that we can practice shalom consciousness, surrender, is what we do with that stuff when we get triggered. This is our spiritual work, ladies and gentlemen, is when we're upset. That's our spiritual work. That's not the absence of our spiritual work. That's not somebody else's fault. That's our stuff. We wouldn't get upset if we didn't have stuff. You hear that? We would not get upset if we didn't have stuff. We go, whatever. Ha, 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 ha. There was one saint who said to another person, he said, don't you love it when people get angry at you? There's so much energy. She just enjoyed it. Someone got angry at her. She enjoyed it. Wow, look at all that energy. That's an enlightened being. Wow, look at all that energy. Isn't that amazing? Look how angry he is at me. Wow. Look at all that energy. Isn't that cool? No, there was no stuff inside of that person. We got stuff. When your bells get rung, what are you going to do about it? Are we going to blame? Are we going to try to make the other person do better? What you said to me hurt me. No, it didn't. What they said didn't hurt you. Your stuff hurt you. What they said triggered your stuff. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have a conversation with somebody. It doesn't mean we put up with abuse. Doesn't mean we don't have hope to have some improvement in certain stuff. But the bottom line is it's our stuff. It's our stuff. So we can practice surrender, which is what? The highest way to surrender is to let the emotions feel the emotion and then relax around it. Don't get caught in it. Let me relax my body. I really want to kill the person right now, but I want to wring their neck, but I'm going to just relax. Relax, 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 relax. Let that pass through. Let it pass through. If we can't do that, then we do something else. Like, okay, we feel the emotion. Let me raise my consciousness. I notice the sadness. Now, what can I do to transform the sadness? What can I do? I can watch a Christmas special. Okay, let's watch a Christmas special. Well, I can't watch Christmas. I got stuff to do. Okay, what can you do? I can take an affirmation. I can raise this feeling with an affirmation. I can repeat a sacred word. I can do something to shift that energy. I can watch my breath. Instead of getting sucked into the sadness, what happens when you're feeling upset, your mind starts to talk to you. Ever notice that? The mind starts to go, well, how could she say that to me? I don't understand why she said that to me. How come they didn't invite me to a party? I invited them to a party. How come I didn't get a Christmas card? She got a Christmas card. I sent them a Christmas card. I don't understand why I didn't get a Christmas card. I'm not going to buy her a gift this year. She didn't buy me a gift last year. I don't know that. All this stuff, the mind, get upset, then the mind starts talking. The mind starts talking. And what happens? We think we're the mind. I'm upset. What are you upset about? I'm upset. Then we get into all the emotion and get all upset. I'm one with the upsetness. Now, I and the upsetness are one. That's not what Jesus said. Jesus didn't say I and the upsetness are one. I didn't get a Christmas card last year from him. Now, Jesus Christ, I'm upset. Jesus Christ is upset. I wasn't cursing, by the way. That didn't come out right. But anyway. So, the key is not to get caught up in it, to observe it, and to raise it. That's surrender. That's surrender. It's not, I've got to make everybody be the way I want them to be. It's let me just relax and release. And I know that's not easy. And most of us can't do that with difficult things. We have to practice with the little things. Practice with the little things. But I don't want to practice with little things. I want to walk on water, Justin. I want people to sing Christmas carols about me next year. I don't want to do it with the little things. I'm beyond that, Justin. Just that you insinuate that I need to practice with the little things, I feel ticked off with you. No, we got to practice with the little things. The little things. What little things are annoying us? What little things are causing us to be sad? What little things? People come in here and somebody's sitting in my seat. What is someone doing sitting in my seat? I sit in that seat all year long. Somebody's sitting in my seat. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a little thing. Right? What are the little things we can practice with? That's what we need to practice. Surrender. I surrender. Let me relax around that feeling. Let me just chill out. Let me raise that energy. Understand that peace is a state of mind. Make peace your top priority by practicing continuous prayer, living in the present, and taking action. Make peace your top priority by surrendering. Surrendering. Through attaining peace of mind, we'll enjoy life more, experience happiness, increased health, perform better, think better, get along with others better. And if enough of us can experience peace of mind, guess what? The world gets better. Be a force of peace in the world. There are many storms in people's minds these days. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Boy, you read the headlines or watch the news, there's a lot of stuff going on, isn't it? Things are heating up. Fundamentals are getting all excited. The end of the world's coming. No, it isn't. The end of an age is coming. Evolution is happening. Things are heating up because people are trying to grow. There's an evolution happening here. There's going to be some tension along the way, but things are evolving. We've got to evolve. Spirit is about evolution. Don't let the appearances scare you. We're on an upward cycle, ladies and gentlemen. The great sages and yogis tell us, no, you're on an upward cycle. You're in the age of energy. We're moving up. We're moving up. There's going to be tension and conflict on the journey, but we're moving up. Don't let the appearances get you down. Don't let the appearances make you think that we're going backwards. We're not going backwards. We're evolving. The country might be going backwards. There might be problems in the United States of America, maybe. We don't know. We'll see. But consciousness is evolving. And you and I are part of that consciousness. We're evolving. And the more that you and I get in tune with peace and a high consciousness, we help the world. According to Greg Braden in his book, Secrets of the Lost Mode of Prayer, he tells of a peace study that took place during the Israeli-Lebanon War of the early 1980s. Researchers trained a group of people to feel peace in their bodies rather than simply think about peace in their minds, rather than simply praying for peace to occur. On specific days of the month, at specific times each day, these people were positioned throughout the war-torn areas of the Middle East. During the window of time that they were feeling peace, terrorist activity stopped, crimes against people lessened, emergency room visits declined, and traffic accidents dropped off in number. These studies confirm the earlier results. When a small percentage of the population achieved peace within themselves, peace was reflected in the world around them. The findings took into account the days of the week, holidays, and even lunar cycles, and the data was so consistent that the researchers were able to identify the number of people needed to share the experience of peace before it was mirrored in the world. The number is the square root of 1% of the population. This formula produces numbers that are smaller than we might expect. For example, in a city of 1 million people, the number is about 100. In a world of 9 billion people, the number is about 9,200 or 8,900. The number represents the minimum needed to begin the process. The more people there are, the faster an effect is created. There's an old Jewish legend that every generation has 36 righteous people whose piety the fate of the world depends. Proverbs says, when the storm wind passes, the wicked is no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, when you and I establish a consciousness of peace, we're part of one of those righteous folks that is a foundation for the world. Your peace, your consciousness, your joy is part of the foundation of this evolving consciousness. It's important for you and me to make peace a priority. It's important for you and me every day to do the work of growing through our stuff, of using life to go to God, of using the little things that irritate us, annoy us, that get us upset, using those things to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm upset. Let me watch my breath. Let me take a pause. Let me take a deep breath. Let me tune into my body. Let me get myself back in touch with peace, because I'm one of those 36 righteous that is the foundation of the world. I'm one of those people who is part of the cutting edge of growing this consciousness, no matter what's going on outside or around me. I'm fulfilling my purpose every moment that I become aware of my stuff. Every time I move that needle, whether it's with an affirmation, a sacred word, watching my breath, taking a moment to send a blessing to someone or a situation, I'm moving the needle in that raising of consciousness that the great saints and sages say that we're moving in the direction of. I don't let the outer world events disturb the calm peace of my soul. I help to raise the consciousness. I help Christmas and Hanukkah and Ramadan and all the wonderful truths, universal consciousness. I help that happen in my consciousness. And that's what you and I are part of. That's what Christmas is all about. Let's not let Jesus waste his breath by coming onto this planet and going through all the junk he went through. Let's not let that be a waste. Let's not just float through the holidays, just going to Christmas parties and giving gifts and giving cards and eating all our favorite desserts. No, let's develop this consciousness. Let's use this holiday season to grow spiritually. Let's use all the chaos in the world not to scare us, not to cower us, not to make us part of the negative conversation. Let's use it to grow. Let's use it to grow. Let's use it to become the people we're here to become. Let this be the best Christmas that you ever had, because you grew in consciousness. This isn't going to be the best Christmas because of what you got in your stocking. This is not going to be the best Christmas because of what parties you went to. This is going to be the best Christmas you ever had because of the growth that you are making in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time. Now is the time for you and I to grow. Now is the time for you and I to develop a peaceful consciousness, because that's what the world needs. And you are the birth of the Christ coming into the world. Your consciousness, your consciousness, your consciousness. What happens in the government? It's important, but it's not nearly important than the inner work that you're doing. Let's get still. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for your presence and activity in our lives. We send forth waves of love and peace to our world, to our planet. We send forth waves of love and peace to our government. We send love and waves of love and peace to other countries. We send love and peace to our planet Earth and to the animals and to the environment. And we say, peace on earth, goodwill toward all. Christ has come. Christ is being born in our consciousness and in all souls everywhere. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, and so it is. Amen.